Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
All right, I'm ready to go provide medical aid to those that need me. Awesome, you got your supplies? Yep, I've got my Neosporin, I've got my Band-Aids, and I've got my gun. A gun? Yeah, my assault rifle, so I can protect myself from all the injured people I'm going to be taking care of. Really?
Happens, ladies. It happens because men get complimented so infrequently.
What he says here could not be any truer. Last year I was walking down the street when this drunk lady pokes her head out the car window and starts screaming to me. Hey boy, show me what that dick do. Show me what that dick do though. Show it to me. As a man, I have never been catcalled in my life. Even though I know how disrespectful it is to catcall on the street, honestly, it felt a little refreshing that someone felt that way about me. And I have seen so many guys on here make that same joke because women always say, well, what if you were treated like that? How would you feel? And every single guy says the same thing. Oh my god, you want my dick? This dick fucks? That's what this dick does. Now, obviously, I'm joking and I do not mean to minimize the experience that women face in the streets. That's why I propose if we want to stand up to catcalling together, we have to do it to men. Everybody, ask a guy what their dick does.
Okay, I want to start by talking about the most acute of these issues, and then I'll get to the more complicated parts. So the first part that I want to talk about is if you are a pregnant person and you show up to any hospital in active labor, the EMTALA law, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, requires that that facility take care of you in active labor. They cannot transfer you out. They must take care of you. Now, that does not mean that they have equipment sufficient to take care of you safely. So some of these facilities that say that they won't take care of somebody over a certain BMI or a certain weight, raw weight, is because they do not have an operating table, a transfer cart, toilets, commodes that can handle over a certain weight. When I first started working at our hospital, our OR table would only hold someone up to 400 pounds, and our transfer carts were the same, and our toilets that were attached to the wall were only 200 pounds, so we had to get bedside commodes. But what we did was we upgraded all of our equipment in the early 2000s because this was a real problem. And so our OR table then was able to handle someone up to 1,000 pounds. We still had the attached toilets, but we were able to get bedside commodes that could handle someone up to 800 pounds, right? So you get the equipment, and it's important. If we had a patient that would be in the books as coming in that was going to be heavier than that, then we would rent equipment. We would know that they were coming. Obviously, maybe not every hospital can do that, but all hospitals should have access to the ability to rent equipment. So the equipment should not be the issue. Now, there is an issue with risk. Obesity is considered, over a certain BMI, typically over 40 or 45, is considered to be a very high risk for obstetrical procedures. Now, does that mean that someone should not take care of you? No, it means that they should take care of you in a very personalized way to help you have the healthiest pregnancy possible with that risk. Even ACOG says this. They've released an ethics document talking about care of the obese patient. And I know that that term is offensive to many people, but that is the medical terminology we use for classification, and so I'm sorry if that's offensive. But they talk about the fact that these patients have a chronic health condition like any other chronic health condition and should not be treated any differently, that providers should really start to examine their bias, and that they should, when they feel like the care is too high risk out of their scope of practice, that they should consult a person who is an expert in the care of patients living with obesity. And so what's being done to these patients, being told that they won't be cared for by these providers, is, in my opinion, and it looks like in ACOG's opinion, that's the American College of OBGYNs, unethical care. Now, the last thing that I do want to talk about is malpractice insurance. OB is highly litigious, and in many parts of this country, we have a scarcity of OB providers because malpractice insurance is too high. And so some of these providers are literally just trying to stay in practice by managing risk.
Why is it that in science fiction, whenever there's like an alien race that has like a really distinct feature on their body, they always base their entire culture around it? Like, for example, the Ferengi in Star Trek base their entire culture around their ears. Like, it's not like we do this as humans. We don't go around measuring each other's body parts and determine our self-worth based on it.
If there was one thing I could add to Kay's video, it would be when people show you who they are, believe them. The fact that you think white privilege is a slur, a hate slur, which is redundant, by the way, is showing your privilege. You are privileged to not have a word for you that carries the weight that most other races in this country do. I'm going to end our conversation here because based on your profile, I'm going to assume that there's no bridge to build here. And so have a great day.
What does it mean to you to raise better boys?
I have a list. Number 1, normalize boys looking up to women as role models. A boy growing up must have at least 5 women role models whose leadership he is trying to actively emulate. Normalize for him an elevated social standing of women and teach him that women's labor and leadership are indispensable and invaluable to society. Number 2, define victory for him in feminist terms. A boy does not win when he competes and dominates other people. He wins when he collaborates and builds a community with other people. Tell him that he wins when he includes other people, not when he does better than other people. Number 3, tell him that his parents are not always right, that you also struggle, and that a child-parent relationship is a partnership, just like all other human relationships. Help him break out of this mindset that there is hierarchy in humanity, and liberate him from the pressure that he must occupy the top of that hierarchy. So when he struggles, he's not embarrassed, and he looks to women and his parents to take pride in his vulnerability.
So today, some folks were provided sentences for, their attempt to overthrow the government during the insurrection. And I got to tell you that as I'm listening to folks get, but a handful of days of either home arrest or a handful of days in jail, I think about Tamir Rice playing on a playground and being shot dead by police. I think about Trayvon Martin shot dead by a white vigilante because he wanted to go to the grocery store and pick up some juice. I think about John Crawford being in a Walmart and being shot dead by police. I think about, any number of Black people that just wanted to go about living their fucking lives and had them cut short by either state-sanctioned violence by way of the police or by white vigilantes pumped up on white privilege. It makes me fucking sick.
Here you have a white boy who just killed 10 fucking people, not a scratch on him, not shot at, not pushed to the ground, not punched, not kicked, not treated like fucking shit. Nothing. This is clear fucking white privilege, and Black people can't even sleep in their own goddamn fucking homes without being shot at by the fucking police. White people, you need to fucking admit that you got fucking white privilege. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. We are, as white people, protected by the goddamn fucking system, and I know you don't want to fucking change it. That's why you don't speak on it, but I don't give a fuck. My name's Eric Stone, because it's fucking true. Deuces.
Lately, people have been calling me fit-phobic, which is a ridiculous assertion. I exercise. I love exercising. And if you enjoy exercising, that's great. More power to you. I'm just saying that you should do it because you enjoy it. You don't have to do it to earn food. You don't have to do it to look a certain way, to be impressive or manly. Just do it because you enjoy it. That's all I'm saying.
I was a child. In the 4th grade, a white police officer came into my classroom and said the words, "For every one of us you kill on the streets, we will kill one of yours." So when people ask for requests for calm, I often wonder why. After we've got a mayor who let the same cops kettle and beat teenagers last year, after a president bombed Syria, after the FBI worked with the KKK to murder Black Americans in the 60s, well after the anti-KKK legislation was established, we're asked to be calm. I wonder who would ask that kind of a thing. Sounds like a southern politeness, a southern polite Confederate kind of approach, doesn't it? Y'all get real sensitive about that. Even though every book you're taught out of in public education is approved by the Daughters of the Confederacy.
White privilege has nothing to do with what can white people legally do that Black people can't legally do. White privilege is what things in society, what social patterns in society benefit white people and don't benefit Black people. And let me give you a prime example, the education system. In American history, you are taught about white contributions to society, and you're hardly taught about black contributions to society, and believe me, there are plenty. In American history, you're not taught about African American history, you're only taught about American history. And the little bit of African American history you do learn, half the time is not accurate. That right there is a prime example of white privilege. You get to learn about your history, I have to take an elective class to learn about mine. And someone who I highly recommend you watch so you can learn about white privilege and what it actually does to our society is Jane Elliott. She talks a lot about the history of racism, and she has a lot of good things I would highly suggest you listen to. With that being said, do not make a video about something you know nothing about, because if you knew something about white privilege, you would not be making that comment.
No, white privilege does not exist, and it hasn't in a long time. Literally, as a black person, you can get free money to go to school solely based off the color of your skin. As a black person, you can literally trash a white person and get applauded for it. If you're a white person, no, absolutely not. You would get your ass handed to you. Black people literally sit here and play the victim. Poor me, I can't get a job. Oh, poor me, it's the white man's fault that I can't do this. No, it's poor you because you're lazy. You guys can literally sit here and burn and loot and steal things and absolutely get away with it if a white person were to do it. You guys literally get away with making white people kiss your asses for something you weren't even alive for. Like, you do realize white people were also slaves too. So stop playing victim, get your ass a job.